Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review First Date. And this is from directors Manuel Crosby and Darren Knapp. And this film starts off seeming like it's a young coming-of-age romance and then turns into a crazy over-the-top crime thriller, mystery, comedy. It has a lot going on. And, Crosby and Knapp squeeze a lot into this film, and the question is, does it all fit together? That's a tough question. Watching the first 25 minutes of this film, I'm like, I'm really enjoying this. It's really relatable and endearing. Well, the opening sequence showing a frantic guy trying to get a bunch of stuff together and getting shot through a door, you're just like, oh, this is called First Date? And that kind of shocks you, but then you kind of get lulled into this like coming of age story, and you have Tyson Brown as Mike, who's really digging on this young woman, Kelsey played by Shelby Duclos, and they're really liking each other, and they're on the phone, and like you have Mike's best friend in the background trying to like give him advice and stuff, and he's just like trying to talk to Kelsey here, and they connect over her listening to 8-track tapes, and like you're really pulling for them. And you have this jerk that lives next door to her, who's like, I'm an athlete and I have a sports car, but I'm sensitive. And yet he turns out exactly how you expect him to turn out. And you have all this going on, but then here's the thing. Mike doesn't have a car to pick her up for their first date. So he winds up going to this like rundown. Before he goes, he runs into his parents, and they're like super supportive. They're going away for the weekend. It's like, hey, have a party. Oh, you're having a date? There's some condoms. Protect yourself. Be careful. And it's just like, wow, they're really supportive, and like there's a lot of fun and laughs to be had. And then he goes to this place and he buys this really beat down old car, but it has an 8-track player in it, so he's like, oh, that's cool. Gets pulled over by the cops, and the two cops in this film, played by Nicole Berry and Samuel Ademola, they're an interesting pair. They have some fun. They banter back and forth with each other, and there's just all of like this quirky, manic salesman who sells him this car, but then there's some stolen goods in the glove compartment, and when he gets away from the cops, he goes back, and all of a sudden the house is taken apart, the salesman's gone, and his wife's there and has a gun and starts shooting at him, and you're like, what is going on here? And then the rest of this film is a crazy ride, and you're just like, poor Mike getting caught up in all this stuff. And then you have this introduction of this whole entire gang of weird, quirky criminals, and there's this old couple that gets involved, and there's another gang of criminals, and these cops aren't exactly who they seem to be, and, Kelsey gets wrapped up into this, and this is a crazy first date. And does everything really come together? No, there's way too much going on in this film. There's too many characters, there's too many ideas, it's all crammed together, but do you have fun? I had fun watching this movie. It's overly long. Like, it feels long because there's so much that they're trying to squeeze in. Like, I'm at the 51-minute mark halfway through this movie, and I'm just, like, so much has already happened. What else could possibly happen? And a lot more happened. You have a over-the-top crazy shootout, but a really endearing, cute little ending that wraps up, like, the main through line of this film, which is this young romance, and you're just like, wow, somebody tried way too hard to cram way too much into this movie, but it's still fun and enjoyable in many ways. I laughed. I've enjoyed the two of them falling for each other. The cast is really game. Everybody plays their roles really well. You have the seemingly really supportive but completely idiotic best friend who doesn't really know what he's talking about. You have this surprisingly sensitive athlete next door. You have this band of quirky criminals that all have different personalities and approaches to things. A lot of them are yelling. And by the end, there's just so much to keep track of. But everything gets wrapped up in a way, and you have closure for all these things for the most part, and you're just sitting there like, okay, this was an interesting ride. I'd ride it again. I'm not going to say this is like a perfect film or even a great film. It's really solid. And if Crosby and Knapp can like reel things in a little bit on their next project, I think they could have something really special. Because this is a fun time. And it's manic, it's all over the place, but I got something out of it. But those are my thoughts on First Date. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.